So Warren Buffett just sold all of his real estate assets. What does that mean for everyone? I specifically invest in commercial real estate, but I do own homes, um, that I've lived in and that I do live in. Um, so what does it mean for everyone? The time to sell your house? If he's selling his stock, does that mean that he thinks housing is going to be harder to sell and or go down in value? If the profits go down for the companies, I would assume that means that they can't sell their houses and that they're making less money because the houses they do sell for less, giving them a lower margin. So, do we sell our houses? I've been through a few, corrections in my life, never a serious downturn. I started in real estate after the 2008 and I kind of caught it on the upswing. So, I think that like I'm 37 years old. So I think that my generation doesn't know much about the feeling of, high interest rates or real estate going down. It's always been like, real estate went down for our parents, so we didn't really know anything about it and we were too young. And then when we started buying, it was, maybe like in the process of going up. And then like, in 2020, stuff just skyrocketed. So we only have known appreciation, not really depreciation. And if we got depreciation, it was really slight depreciation, and we already had a lot of equity. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that are underwater on mortgages, but not like significantly. I would say underwater. Like you didn't buy a house for 300, now it's worth one, and you have a mortgage for 285. So, but it's a time to sell. It's a time to sell our houses. I'm no expert or crystal ball or, take everything I say for granted because I'm not I don't claim to be an expert in anything. I just have a lot of experience. I've had success doing what I do. So, but how do I feel? I think that personally, if you're worried about it, I would probably sell. If you're worried about it, and then if your house went down in value, it would affect you and you need the equity and you need to eventually sell that house at some point in the next, 10 years or something, I'd probably consider selling right now and renting if it's going to happen. Uh, I would say that irrelevant of the economy or what's going on, if like you need to sell and take equity and you're worried about change in value, like take your profits. I think that, what they say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush because, nothing's realized till it's in your hand, or, no contract's real until it's signed. Um, so I will probably keep my homes, but I will plan to rent them out and hopefully break even or lose a little money every year. Um, and then in 25 years from now, have them paid off and get good income from them if I don't lose my shirt along the way. I have a little bit of reserves to cover the expenses associated with them if they don't break even. So that maybe is a factor in my decision. But should everyone sell? I think it's personally, in my opinion, um, Warren Buffett and the group associated with Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, they're pretty smart guys. So um, it's definitely not a good sign. And they could be wrong, but he never usually sells anything, and he's only owned the new home builders, sector in this capacity for a short amount of time, which is like probably like something he never does. Well, I know it's something that I've based on my understanding, it's something that he doesn't do. He doesn't sell. He plans on holding stuff forever and acquiring like the entire company over time. But for him to hold it and sell it fairly quickly, definitely a red flag. And um, I also don't know if I trust your realtors if you ask them. Like if you're asking people like, hey, what do you think about this? Should I buy a new house? Should I sell my house? I think it's a decision you need to make on your own in some aspect based on some basic research. Because any realtor, when you tell them to do anything, most people will see, you know, the commission they're going to get. And hey, if I can sell this or I can have him buy a house, if he can sell his house and buy a house, he definitely should do it because I make, 3% on both sides. I'm going to make 6% of whatever he, averages of whatever he buys. So, or it sells. But, in my opinion, it's a scary thing. So It's definitely not a positive thing. And, we might see a ripple effect in the markets or in the market coming in the near future. He usually does stuff like before it gets bad. So, we might not see any change that he expects for a little while. But I would assume that we should see a change because he is not a novice at what he does. And it's weird because I do know that like some of my friends work for these home building companies and their stocks are really high and they're doing really well and people are buying these houses still. Um, if they stop buying new houses, does that mean that the used houses will still be stable or does it mean that everything goes down? That's a good question. I'd love to see what you guys think about it. Comment below. I think that, a group decision, if you read the comments and an average number of people post, we'll get a better idea of what people think, and then if we know what people think, we'll have a better idea what will happen because we are the market. So that's definitely a factor. But is it time to sell? It's a good question. I feel like everyone's been talking, is it a good time to buy, is it a good time to sell, ever since things went up or anything changes. I feel like that's always a question. Is it time to get rid of this? Is it time to buy? I'd say it's always time to buy commercial because in my opinion, what I buy or what I would teach you to buy is stuff that no matter what the market does, it's going to appreciate. And it's going to appreciate quickly because of decisions that are made during the purchase process and the property itself. So I feel like that's a factor that, you know, in my opinion, I'll keep moving forward. I'll keep buying because irrelevant of interest rates and the market and all that stuff, like that's all taken into consideration when I buy. If a deal works at 4% but doesn't work at 6% interest, like you don't buy it. You find one that does. And then if it does work at like 8% or 10% interest, when you buy it, there's a good chance it would work at like 30% interest once you optimize it. So, all right, well, have a good day, guys. I'll talk